Last week on the Professional Bowlers Tour, John Odrobinek, a 20-year-old rookie bowling in only his sixth tournament, scored one of the most stunning upsets in PBA history. He upset Wayne Webb, Marshall Holman, and Mark Roth, the three winningest and most celebrated bowlers of this decade, to capture the $27,000 first prize. This week we're in Miami with a great field of bowlers and a chance at $1 million bonus. ABC Sports presents live for the 25th consecutive year, the Professional Bowlers Tour. Today we come to you from the warmth of South Florida with an interesting championship field. In the first match, our number 5 qualifier, Mark Baker, the 1985 high average winner, whose only tour victory came at these lanes in 1984. He meets Walter Ray Williams, 26 years old, the reigning World Horseshoe pitching champion, seeking his first pro title. Qualifying third, Amleto Monacelli, 24 from Venezuela, the best foreign bowler on the tour. The number 2 spot belongs to Darryl Bower, a 30-year-old regional champ from Middleton, Pennsylvania, looking for his second national tour title. The tournament leader, David Ozio from Vidor, Texas, coming off a hot year in 1985, is looking for his third title. All on today's Professional Bowlers Tour. And look at that Miami skyline, sparkling under a semi-tropical sunshine. This is incredible weather here in South Florida. I know that's what you wanted to hear, those of you that have snow on the ground. But nevertheless, we are live for the Lite Beer Classic Final. $150,000 is total. Our fifth stop on a tour of 16 cities. And this bowling establishment is one of the most attractive of the over 8,000 here in the United States of America. And as attractive as this center is, they've got a name on top of it, Don Carter, that is Mr. Bowling. He's here today watching along with you. $27,000 the winner, but a possibility for one of the bowlers to get the first leg of $1 million. And our money man, Nelson Burton Jr., comes in here to tell you all about it.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Okay. You're right, $27,000 to the winner of this tournament. But when Chris mentioned $1 million, the Miller Brewing Company has put up an incentive award. If you can win this tournament, a pro can win the tournament Milwaukee, come back and win the third of the Miller's tournaments in Cleveland, he will take home $1 million in addition to the prize money. If he can win 2 of the 3, he takes home a $50,000 bonus. Now, we have a great field out there today. We've had some sensational scores on this, the championship pair. The 5 players have averaged better than 230 during the week. They're playing the extreme outside line. In previous tournaments here, we have seen some players throw the ball off in the channel. 0 have been, that could determine the winner of the tournament. We had the tournament leader throw 8 of those channel balls yesterday. So anything can happen. We're ready for some great scores, great action. Don't forget the $1 million. Chris, we're ready to go.
Okay, Bo, and with great optimism, you look at Mark Baker, a one-time winner, right here, Kendall Lanes in 1984. 5 years of professional, former high school basketball player, 6'3", powerful 195-pounder, who hails from Garden Grove, California. He had a distraction off to the right. Somebody moved, not thinking, but he'll put it together, work on that gum as he moves to the line. He's going against Walter Ray Williams, Jr. Beautiful. That should loosen him up because he had a distraction. He got it out of his mind and a power strike into the pocket. Now, 4 times world horseshoe pitching champion, 7 national titles. This is his second appearance on our telecast this year. He finished 5th in the AC Delco Classic, Walter Ray Williams. All even, Bo. This championship pair should produce some scores.
It has been very good, Chris, as you see the profile of Walter Ray. Basically, it's a 4.5-step delivery. He takes the full approach. He's a tall man, 6'2", has a good position as he drives through with his pivot step. Doesn't have the big hook ball that, say, Monacelli or Baker uses, but this man is a very talented all-around athlete.
2 games in this pair, he averaged 227. Good double for Walter Ray Williams. He'd like to ring a title in bowling right here today as we take a look at the first breakdown. 27 of the winner, 13 less for second, 8,500. Fourth is 7, fifth is 6,000. Marshall Holman finished sixth and picked up a check for $5 grand. Now going for a double, Mark Baker. Leading only a 10-pin, bit of a break.
Well, Mark Baker with that big hook as he quickly switches to another ball for spares at cross lane 10-pin. And by the way, this is the tip this week with Marshall Holman, how to change from the power shot down to a straight shot like that.
All right, making that spare, Mark Baker. Incidentally, John Odrobinick, whom we featured in our tees, did not make the field of 5 today, but he has that one victory in the Quaker State tucked under his belt, and we'll hear from him later, I'm sure. Capacity crowd watching Baker. And again, another break. Leaving only the 2-pin on the left lane, lanes 13 and 14, the championship pair.
The hits in the second and third frames were almost identical. The result a little bit different. Watch the action of the head pin. It goes to the sideboard, takes out the 4 and the 8, leaving the 2-pin, and look at it come back across and knock out the 10, avoid the split.
Mark Baker nearly sticking and falling over the foul line. He does have that problem occasionally, Bo, such a big man.
Big man, and he slides very close to the foul line, only about an inch and a half behind the foul line. Walter Ray leads by 7. 11 has the double working, can increase to 21. One of 7 children, all horseshoe players. His mother is the one that got him bowling.
And Deadeye, as he is called, leaves the 6-pin on the right lane.
As you see in the super slow motion, the ball is just a little bit off the mark for Deadeye as he leaves the 6-pin, goes all the way across the head pin. Very simple spare, switches to another harder ball, as many of the players are doing today, to control it for spares. Cross lane, nice shot.
Ah, yes. Very smooth. 2 of our taller bowlers, 6'3" Baker and 6'2" Walter Ray Williams. Won his last title last year in Lafayette, Indiana. World Horseshoe Pitching Champion. 87% ringers. Bo, that is an incredible record.
That's when he won the championship. He holds the world's record, Chris, 91.1% out of 750 shoots.
And he wants a lot of those today. Yet to win, and that's strike in the 4th frame. And he has a 10-pin lead here in our very first game. And we'll be back with more of it live from the Don Carter Kendall Lanes in South Florida.
Lovely Tiffany Chin defends her national title live. Plus Ice Dance Beauty, the U.S. Figure Skating Championships on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Next.
A look at our host, Don Carter, and his wife, Paula Sperber Carter. We're here again in South Florida. And here is Mark Baker, second appearance this year in our telecast. Trailing by 10, he has a spare up in the 3rd, now shooting in the 4th frame. First game in our live telecast. Well, nearly tripped it, the 4-pin.
Walter Ray Williams tripped the 4 out there in the 4th frame. Baker hits almost the same shot. Watch the action of the 2-pin as it goes to the sideboard. That's the 3rd pin on the left-hand side. When you get the good break, it comes between the 4 and 7, knocks out both pins.
And blew it.
Continually has trouble with making his spares, Chris. Mark is the high average bowler in the Professional Bowlers Tour last year, and yet on TV in 13 championship rounds appearances, he has a dismal 195 average. He needs to be more aggressive. He's a big, strong guy. Let it hang out on the championship round. Don't be timid.
Another 4-pin. Way outside, then hooking a little too high. Here a replay of how close he came to the channel.
We said there are a few balls in the channel this week. That's the line. The players are playing, wow, all the way out. The ball, just by the spin on it, kept it from sliding off. Once again, Baker has the 4-pin. The same spare he missed last frame.
Making sure on the left lane is Mark Baker of Garden Grove, California, who is trailing Walter Ray Williams looking for his first win, which would then qualify him for the Firestone Tournament Champions. Would give him the first leg on the Light Slam. 10-pin on the right lane.
Deadeye with a chance to put Mark Baker in a lot of trouble very early. Would have increased his lead to 32 with a strike there. Needs to convert the 10-pin to stay 22 pins ahead of Baker through 5 frames.
And he too has an open frame by missing on a spare. But they do call him Deadeye. So we ask Walter Ray Williams how he got that name, Deadeye.
Well, in 1970, when I was 10 years old, playing in the World Tournament in the qualifying rounds for the junior division, I had 45 ringers out of 50 shoes, and the statistician there put the nickname on the back of my shirt, and it stuck.
He's talking, of course, of pitching horseshoes.
Old Deadeye must have had that eye covered on the last one as he slipped by the 10-pin. There's only a 10-pin margin between these two players.
Well, a lot of single pins, and as your tip after the next game, Bo, covering spares, making spares, we're getting a lesson here live, aren't we?
I believe you, Chris, but there's one thing I've always kind of been against, and that's changing balls for spares. Now, Deadeye, look how he does it. He just uses his ring finger and his thumb to kill the ball. Mark Ross' tip with me this week is how do you kill it by changing your hand position, which I think is the best method. To use the same ball you're familiar with the grip on and the first ball and change on the second.
Oh, I think in all sports, fads come and go.
I agree, but you have to keep that same feel. I don't like to see the players changing balls.
The longest and smoothest follow-through to date for Walter Ray Williams in making that spare in the 6th frame. Only 10 pins separating these two young professionals. Winner of one, Mark Baker.
Chris, if Baker can stay with that type of shot, he'll start pushing Walter Ray Williams. Watch this profile. Now, here's what he did so well that time. Big man, 6'3" tall. Watch how he stays down and reaches through the shot. Good extension, gets that ball well down the lane. That's the kind of shot he needs to stay in the match. He could even it up with a double right here in the 7th.
And there is our first, and maybe not the last channel shot today, Nelson.
Chris, we have had some bizarre things happen in the Lite Classic here in Florida. Watch the ball of Mark Baker. Slides it out, hang on, hang on. Adios. That's the same as a foul.
What's your trust is a must?
Or you get no score in this case. This is as good as 9 if he can convert the spare, though, because he has a strike up.
Disappointed by leaving the 10-pin on the left lane. We're in our very first game here at the Lite Beer Classic at the Kendall Lanes in South Florida. Back for the rest of it following this. Yes, United States Figure Skating Championships, the ladies live. But great, oh, what competition. Been fun to do them over the years, and today will be no exception. Immediately follows the Professional Bowlers Tour.
Debbie Thomas, Chris, looking very good. Will give Chin a run, I think, in that ice skating. That's your favorite sport, I think.
Well, it's so beautiful. And if you like music, it is a great combination. Athletic prowess and skill. And there we have it. We have had everything today, and he stayed away from the channel on that shot, Nelson.
They're afraid of the channel. First place, he has a 22-pin lead, and here's what happened. Walter Ray needs to get the ball over here, slide the 3-pin over into the 7-pin to convert the split. Chris, I think you picked it right up. They're afraid of the channel, especially when you have a lead. If he can keep the ball at channel, hopefully he'll avoid the big splits. Ooh.
And there's another open frame for the man that's trying to win his first PBA title, Walter Ray Williams. For those of you watching at home, there are 100 million people around the world that bowl at least one game a year. And we have all been in the channel one time or another, so the pros do it as well.
A lot of money at stake. It's still match play competition. The reason the players are playing the extreme outside line, that's the line that seemed to work best all week long because they had an erratic roll with their ball in the center of the lane. But it doesn't look much better from the outside.
4, 6, 7, 9, 10. Disbelief.
Here we go. Watch the ball right through the middle. That big hook ball takes out everything but the 4, 6, 7, 9, 10. Walter Ray going for the 3, try to bounce him over into the 4-7 zone and convert the split. Oh!
Gallant try for a conversion here on lane 13.
The action, the 6-pin. It bounces off the 9 into the 4 and off into the 7. Off in the 7 will jump out and take out the 4. The match is only 4 pins difference. Here we go.
Jumping on it is the Californian. The winner of this game will meet the finest foreign player from Caracas, Venezuela, Amleto Monacelli, and then Darryl Bower. And the tournament leader, David Ozio, Vidor, Texas.
See that moon on his elbow? I don't. He's not Jim McMahon. There's a little story to that. We'll relate that after this shot.
Oh, that double. Talking to him. Obviously, a word of gratitude. As that double now puts him out by 14.
Look how close he comes to the channel, but that's the angle. If you can get the ball in that position on the lane, look at the strike power. The 6 flips out to 10. Baker has a 14-pin lead, but don't count out Deadeye. He's tough when he's behind. Here he comes.
Man with tremendous amount of competition, whether it be horseshoe pitching or bowling. But he's got a 16-pound object now instead of that 2.5-pound horseshoe.
Deadeye needs 2 more strikes to take the lead. 10th frame, all the money on the line.
.610.
Not to be, but it's very important that he converts the 6-10 spare. He can still win the match with a 170 type score. Baker would have to get a good count in the 10th frame and mark.
Lane 13, a nemesis for him. And Bo, I don't know. I stayed on the 13th floor of the hotel. I don't like it one bit. 13. Do bowlers ever think about a lane that's numbered 13?
13 is usually the best lane in the house, Chris, because most players don't wear it out.
Okay. Well,
for Walter Ray Williams, a 170 game, he could still win the match. Mark Baker must get 9 on the first ball, or 8 or less in a spare. Winner.
Amleto Monacelli will be Mark Baker's opponent. All right, now the adrenaline is flowing. Mark Baker, and look at this shot. Powerful ball.
That 4-pin that he couldn't trip earlier in the match, and he couldn't even convert on a spare shot his first attempt, is the winning shot for him. Just keep it out of the channel, and he goes against Amleto Monacelli.
Very pleased with his performance. Will have his final score will be over 200. And then, of course, back for the Monacelli-Baker second game.
From the Florida Southland, the Professional Bowlers Tour. This ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by Light Beer from Miller. Everything you've always wanted in a beer and less. By Firestone, with over 4,000 Firestone retailers from coast to coast. And by AMF's Angle Ball, the Winter Pro Tour's #1 winner 3 years in a row. The Angle strikes again. The Professional Bowlers Tour continues in a moment after this commercial message and a word from your local station.
Mark Baker in a very exciting victory, 205 to Williams 170, 7 strikes, 1 miss, and 1 channel ball. We started Ask Bo series. Okay, today Bo's going to answer the question on television. How do you project the bowlers' final scores, Nelson?
And Chris, as the graphic will tell you, Bowler's projected score is based on rolling all strikes. In other words, let's say in the first game, I project that a player could have a possible 250 because if he had all the rest strikes, he would have a 250, 30 each frame. As you see in the second one, the pace where he's going is strike, spare, considering he won't lose any count. That's the pace, a 200 pace. The projection is all strikes. That way we can project whether a player still has a chance to win a match even though he may be way behind in the late going.
All right, if you have a question to ask Bo, send it to Post Office Box 1986, Radio City Station, New York, New York, zip code 10101. Now, the second game live from the Don Carter Kendall Lanes in the Lite Beer Classic. Here's Amleto Monacelli of Caracas, Venezuela. Really a likable young bowler, wonderful professional, a great future. And he is exciting. Watch his shot, 5'8", 150 pounds. Courageous Amleto. And here's the man that struck out to shoot that 205, Mark Baker.
Similar styles. The big power ball, Mark Baker, who was the high average player on the PBA Tour last year, and Amleto Monacelli, who was 5th, Chris.
Well, when conditions were right, did you like that outside shot?
The old outsider, what we used to call the gutter shot, was had been very good to me over the years, Chris. I have to really credit Billy Hardwick and Jim St. John's as two of the players that perfected it the best, though.
So the winner of the first game, 205 to Walter Williams, 170, has opened with a double, putting pressure on Monacelli from the start.
Monacelli, a great all-around athlete. He was a soccer star in Italy. He was the right forward for the special soccer team that the country of Italy has brought up, and he's now living permanently in Venezuela. Tremendous family, tremendous international player.
Last year he was on our telecast 5 times. He finished second 3 times. Watch his approach, replaying it.
Monacelli with that, what we call a stutter six-step approach, very similar to Roth. Mark Roth has a staccato step in the middle there. He has a posture almost like Pete Weber, that high profile. Tremendous wrist action at the point of release. Terrific strike ball. Monacelli is almost unbeatable when he can convert the spares.
Look at that. A conversion for the man that wears 1 red bowling shoe and 1 white bowling shoe.
Perfectly. Has the ball hit the right side of the 3-pin, the ball deflects into the 10, and his sister Andreina, who is just as lovely as she looks on television in person. Just a tremendous, tremendous young lady. Came down from New Jersey to watch her brother bowl here today.
Senior at Fairleigh Dickinson University. That's right, 1 red shoe, 1 white shoe. Leaving the 4-pin.
Early round leader, Wayne Webb. Dave Ferraro, who cashed but didn't even make the top 24. David Ozio, Signor Monacelli. Ozio again in round 5. Round 6, Ozio had a commanding lead as we finished the 42 games. Monacelli for the conversion, 4-pin.
Continuing to mark, the Venezuelan, whose dad owns a bowling center in a city of 600,000, Barranquilla. Now Baker, double up, 3rd frame, 2nd game for Mark.
Boy, when he gets loose, he lets that power go, and tremendous shot. Chris, a story that I failed to finish while Baker was bowling against Williams the first game. You see that wrist device helps to cut down tendonitis in his elbow. He has a moon marked on that. And really where that came from, his nickname, he split his pants down here when he won the Lite Classic here in Miami 2 years ago. And they called it, as the newspapers, Dick Evans called it, Moon Over Miami. So I think he's got a little Jim McMahon in him.
String stopping at 3, leaving the 10-pin on the left lane.
You can see it in the way Baker's bowling. We've had 3 players who won the first match go all the way to the title. You can see Baker already loosened up. He's going to be very tough for Monacelli to overtake here in this match. 4th frame.
Spare just made it. 2 young professionals, a pair of 24-year-olds. Last year, Baker finished second 4 times, Monacelli 3 times. More of the second match. First, this pause.
Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. Don't you take it for yourself, any song. Just feel the rhythm of the music getting stronger. Don't you fight it till you try to do that conga speed.
Looking at Amleto Monacelli of Caracas, Venezuela. He's going against Mark Baker in our second game from the Don Carter Kendall lanes. He has a spare up, shooting down the 4th frame, trying to make up on that 20-pin deficit. Mastering the speed of the bowling ball. His sister. We asked him if more foreign bowlers would come to the PBA Tour.
Well, in the future, I think they would come out. My brother is coming out in the summer, and a few friends too. And I think Mexico and some other places, they will have some good bowlers to come out here and bowl against us.
Chris, and you mentioned Mexico. The current world's amateur champion is Alfonso Rodriguez from Mexico City. I bowled with him. He's another sensational star on the rise. A lot of foreign bowlers coming into the Pro Bowlers Tour.
All right, Amleto, who has one beautifully made split spare, now has the 310 on the left lane. How do you shoot this, Nelson?
310, right here. Throw the ball to the right of the 3-pin. Let the ball deflect into the 10, as Monacelli did in the second frame. Let's see, he can duplicate that feat here in the 5th. If he converts this, he'll still trail by 20 pins. Needs to make it to stay close in the match.
What a touch. Speed, everything for the Venezuelan.
Well done. Just nicks the 3-pin. The ball deflects into the 10. Stays close to the match. Keeps some pressure on Baker, who has really been sharp so far here in the second match.
Started with 3 in a row. The man who won the first game, 205, with Walter Ray Williams, 170, with 7 strikes, a miss, and a channel ball. And there you see his 20-pin lead, 3 strikes, spare, strike.
Mark Baker, whose father is a executive at Security National Bank in the Los Angeles area, who oftentimes comes out and watches his son, but his son seems to like the other coast over here in Miami, where he won his first title. Right now he's bowling super. He can extend his lead to 30 pins with a strike here in the 6th.
That he does. The winner of this game will meet Darryl Bower of Middleton, Pennsylvania, near Harrisburg. A very fine bowler, too.
He's got that winning look on his face. Don't count out this opponent, though. Very, very tough. Has come on so well in the Professional Bowlers Tour in the last year. Amleto Monacelli. Tough, tough competitor. What wrist action. Watch this.
What controlled speed. Isn't that something? Monacelli.
Watch this pin action. Watch the action as the ball drives through. Hardly any deflections. It hits the 1-3, drives the 5 in the 4-7 area. Right now on the PBA Tour, I believe Monacelli has the best wrist action, Chris, and best strike release of anybody going. If he can convert his spares, not get too many bad breaks, he's going to be tough all year long. Stretched fingertip grip, trails by 30 pins, needs a double here to put the pressure on Baker.
PBA member for 5, looking for the first title, appears ready today, but he's going against tough Mark Baker.
Marvin Johnson wore the crown before. Now he wants it back. He battles undefeated Leslie Stewart for the WBA World Light Heavyweight Championship on the premiere of ABC's Pro Boxing Series tomorrow.
Tomorrow we're proud to present the season's premiere of ABC Sports' Professional Boxing Series. WBA World Light Heavyweight Champion, undefeated Leslie Stewart against Marvin Johnson in Indianapolis, his hometown. And we were around when he'd won his 2 titles before. So here he is, Bo, coming back, and who knows, he could win another one.
Third comeback, I don't know, Chris. Stewart's in top shape. If Johnson doesn't get him in the early rounds, I think it's going to be a Stewart fight. Right now we're in a dogfight right here. Baker leads by 20. 7th frame, can extend to 30, has a double working.
Zeroed in. Mark Baker warming up as the tournament leader. David Ozio of Vidor, Texas. First, though, it'll be the semifinal match where the winner of this one you're watching now will go against Darryl Bower.
Mark Baker has really loosened up. He has 6 strikes in the first 7 frames. He finished with 5 in a row the last game, 11 out of the last 12. The big guy is cutting it loose, can extend to 40 pins with another strike.
Look at that. And Wide World later today, that's the type of precision you'll see. Tiffany Chen tries to defend her national championship from Long Island, live here on ABC, and then there will be ice dancing competition, which among the most beautiful events in all of competition. That's on Wide World following the Professional Bowlers Tour.
Monacelli trails by 40 pins, must strike here, 8th frame.
And Amleto has a turkey going for him here in the second game.
Monacelli, the great wrist action, and we were just talking while we were in that last little break, Chris, and I said it to Mike Durbin. I said, you know what? The way Monacelli releases the ball is the way I start my lawnmower. And I'll tell you what, he really cuts it loose. What power.
We got to upgrade you on your lawnmower, Nelson. There's such things as batteries, you know.
This man has his motor running, though. He still has a chance to win this match, has a possible 249. Remember how we projected in the ASBO? If he strikes out, he'll have 249. Baker going at a 249 pace. It's not over.
Bluffing that shot out on the lanes. Sweeping the 10 away for a 4-bagger for Buck. 4-baggers up.
Watch the head pin, Chris. All that power, all that wrist action, the head pin does a multiplicities of jobs, as Baker has just starts a little quick. Monacelli, watch his reaction. He knows he has the, as we call it, he put the putty to this one. Let's see what happens. Here we come. He's got a chance to win. Baker leads by 20, 9th frame.
Again by 30 pins. Baker. Probably wondered what the earlier distraction was before that last shot. Darryl Bower and David Ozio, the next to compete, were warming up, and the pin setter was clearing the pins and setting them up. That caused the break. There's a 2-pin.
Mark Baker must convert this 2-pin and keep the ball on the lane to shut out Amleto Monacelli. A spare and a strike. Baker would have 258.
He knew he had that one.
Well, I think in light of that one, he whipped out of there into the motor channel, whatever you like to say, in the first match. I think I'd throw it down the middle here, Chris. Why take a chance? All he has to do is keep it on the lane to win the match. Yeah, he did it.
Okay, Mark Baker. Look at that. He is fired up. The adrenaline is flowing. Darryl Bower is going to be his next opponent. And it's time to teach you more about making spares. Our tip of the week with Nelson Burton Jr. will begin here. Now watch and listen closely.
The Professional Bowlers Tour Tip of the Week is brought to you by Old Spice Stick Deodorant and Solid Antiperspirant. We give you 24-hour protection.
Here it
Mark Roth, one of bowling's all-time leading money winners, number 2 on the money list. The man who really brought power bowling to bowling. When Mark Roth came out, the days of the down and in line balls seemed to go by the wayside, Mark. And I think you do it better than anybody else. And what's the key? Getting your hand
Get my hand way under the ball, cocking my wrist, and trying to stay behind the ball until I get back on my swing, and then hitting through with it.
A lot of snap at the point of release. Great for strikes. And we see a lot of kids coming out on the tour doing that, and I see them around the country. But the key of the game is still spares. And I've watched you for years and years being probably the best spare shooter in the sport of bowling. So what's the difference? I know you can't throw the big power ball and make spares.
Well, I keep my wrist kind of relaxing the ball, put my fingers in, just trying to relax my hand, not squeeze too hard, and just try and go straight back and just straight at the pins, hard and straight, and keep it on a straight line.
Okay, for the power shot, you're underneath. When you want to go shoot the spares, you break the wrist back, keep your hand behind the ball, hard and straight. Let's see one.
You got it.
Yes, big Mark Baker with 8 strikes shot a 257, defeating Amleto Monacelli by 30 pins. Amleto had 6 strikes, 257, 227. Now Darryl Bower comes in from Pennsylvania to take on the Californian. And taking on the finest figure skaters in the United States will be Tiffany Chen, the defending champion. Live ladies coverage. There'll be ice dancing competition as well. That's on Wide World of Sports following the Professional Bowlers Tour. Terrific event. Be sure and watch it. All right, now, 6 through 24, Nelson.
Marshall Holman just sliding by. Del Ballard, powerful Bob Hanley. Dale Eagle up there. 300 by Harvey this week. Mark Roth, who helped us on the tip. Defending champion Weber. Beefcake Boss, Rowdy Morrow. Guppy Troop. Powerful Mark Baker. Mark Fay. Tommy Baker, the dapper one. National champion, former champion. Bob Chamberlain, Bruce Carter, Jeff Mackey. Pedersen who won the AC Delco. Leroy Barnhop. Kessler, Wayne Webb, rodding out the top 23 there. We paid 53 places, $970 to 53rd, Chris.
And the United States Open is up to be contested 1 week from today in Venice, Florida. The Bowling Proprietors Association America, the first leg of the Triple Crown in bowling. That's next Saturday. Be sure to be with us at 3 Eastern and Pacific, 2 Central.
That is a 56-game tournament. This week was 42 games. We started on Tuesday. They'll start the Pro-Am over there in Venice tomorrow, Sunday. The tournament starts on Monday. Great tournament. The U.S. Open, the first leg in bowling's Triple Crown. And as we watch the nice crowd, it's been a sellout crowd all week long as Don Carter, Bert Rose, Jerry Eisen, the host here at this bowling center. The great promotion done by a fellow named John Smith as the action is about ready to go.
All right, and in steps Darryl Bower.
A man
5'10" and thin at 140, Bo.
Chris, and he has never lost a match in a championship round. Darryl Bower going against professional bowling's top average man from 1985, a guy who really looked sharp in the second game, a determined Mark Baker.
He is just off a 257. After 2 victories, averaging 231, Mark Baker. Now, 2 resident pro titles and 1 on the tour. True Value Open in Indianapolis. The finals beating hometown Mike Albee. Darryl Bower. Operates one of his dad's 3 bowling centers in the Harrisburg, Pennsylvania area.
Here's a man who's really worked on his game. He used to have a lot of trouble with his arm swing. He used to have it completely contorted, but now it's a very simple, straight swing. He kind of cocks that ball down there with that tremendous wrist action like Amleto Monacelli just has shown us in the previous match. Darryl Bower, a man not many people know except the top pros.
All right. Opening with a very strong double here, putting pressure on Baker, who has accepted it twice today, defeating Walter Ray Williams, 205 to 170, and then Monacelli, 257 to 227. So 10-pin, who has a 50-pound pull in the weights. Doesn't matter in bowling, it does in boxing, a sport we'll be doing a week from tomorrow, but he is big, Bo.
Big guy with tremendous athletic ability. Cross lane for the 10-pin. Mark Baker, who is a high school All-American basketball player, was a scoring machine, averaged 29 points a game in his senior year in the California area, has opted for bowling, and I think he made a correct choice. Not big enough to be a forward, and I don't think fast enough to be a guard, as our producer Kenny Wolf has observed during the week.
And today, both Kenny and Larry Cam, our director, have really recorded the great artistry stroking the bowling ball of Mark Baker. Here are upcoming stops, as we indicated, the United States Open a week from today, Venice, Florida, and back to Bo's hometown for the St. Louis Open, followed by the Lite Beer Championship, the second leg of the $1 Million Try in Milwaukee. Well,
every week we see that split, Chris. Marshall Holman last week had a chance to put the match away, left a 2-8-10. Once again, Darryl Bower quickly grabs another ball. You see the action of the two-pin doesn't quite, head pin doesn't quite come back on the lane to knock out the 2-8.
All right, with an open frame, and just can't recover from opens or errors in bowling like you can in some of the other sports. Have a bad first shot in golf, you can recover with a good second.
Especially when you leave something like the 2-8-10. The reason the pros leave it so often is they throw that tremendous sharp breaking hook at the back end, and the ball just chips that head pin right off.
Right back. Yes, Darryl, if he won today, would he think about coming out on the tour full time? He said he didn't think so. He enjoys the operation of bowling establishments. Come out occasionally, have some fun, pick up a few bucks. We'll be back after this.
On the Professional Bowlers Tour, it's the first jewel of bowling's Triple Crown, the $200,000 U.S. Open, next Saturday on ABC Sports.
Earlier we mentioned lane numbers, 13 and 14, but Nelson, 14 is much more to his liking. Baker
has struck almost every ball on late 14. He's up there now as a 5-pin lead, can extend to 15 with a double.
Leaving a 10-pin, looking for his 11th strike on that lane of our championship pair.
Same shot he had in the third frame. Strike in the first on the left lane, left the 10-pin in the second, strike in the third on the left-hand lane, another 10-pin on 14.
Looking at the back of Mark Baker, who started in the number 5 position here in our finals of the Lite Beer Classic, and is now in his third game. More of it after this.
If you're big, I think you have to use all your height and your strength to your advantage. For me, is make sure you use all the leg strength you can. I have to get down on every shot. If you have a chance to use all your power, give it everything you have.
This is the answer to the question how he uses his size to his advantage. Right there. A graphic demonstration, Bo.
Very true, Chris. As you can see, the left-hand lane, the ball is still finishing very sharply, like the players like to see it. The right-hand lane, as anybody who watches this telecast week after week, one of the lanes will usually what we call tighten up, where the ball won't finish quite as much. It's happening on the right-hand lane. I believe that's going to be the key lane to victory. Let's see what Bower does here. He can strike to take the lead.
And a pesky 10-pin on the right lane for Pennsylvania's Darryl Bower. His mom and dad are here. There's the man on the left that started as a pin boy at the YMCA. Now owns 3 bowling establishments, Nelson.
Jack and Lillian Bower from Pennsylvania. Great couple. Great son for a bowler.
We asked Darryl Bower why he hasn't gone full-time on the Professional Bowlers Tour.
Well, back in '81, I had injured muscle bicep fibers to my right arm, and that has limited my bowling throughout the past few years. It's much improved now, so I anticipate this year I'll bowl maybe about half the tournament.
He's demonstrating his ability right here today, looking for his second PBA title to go with 2 resident titles.
When I first saw Darryl Bower, he had just a kind of a kink in his arm swing, Chris. That's how he pulled that bicep muscle. He seemed to straighten it out now, but he just says he's going to bowl part-time. Not a bad job, running the center and bowling part-time.
crossing over, leaving the 6-10 for Mark Baker. Remember, this is his third game. This year, we've seen him come from 5th position to win. Look how close to the channel.
People wonder why the ball hangs on most of the time. It's that tremendous spin on the ball, plus the outside board in a bowling lane is all maple, Chris, and seems to hold the ball on better than a pine board, which the rest of the lane is made out of. The center of the lane is made out of pine. The outside board is made out of maple. Naturally, the oil pattern, or the way the lanes are conditioned, determines where the players must play. The reason the players are playing that extreme outside line is because the center of the lane is what we call spotty, erratic, and maybe a little bit oilier than this outside trajectory.
Lane 13. And lane 13, 7-10, and he almost stepped over the foul line. He sticks a lot, Mark Baker.
Surprise, surprise. Baker hits the ball where he needs to just throw the ball real hard over near the 10 pin and hope he can bounce it out over into the 7 pin.
With the speed on the ball, content seemingly to get 1 pin, and he now has lost the lead by 8 pins. More of this third game following this.
The snows of yesterday have cleared out of the New York metropolitan area, at least for the moment, and a good crowd has gathered at the Nassau Coliseum. They're here to see what should be a most exciting competition for the U.S. Ladies Figure Skating Championship among 3 very talented young women. The defending champion, Tiffany Chin, coming back from an injury, is in 3rd place. She really has her work cut out for her today. In 2nd place, a surprising 2nd place, is Karen Kadavy. And in the lead, a wonderful story, Debbie Thomas, a freshman at Stanford University, a pre-med student, trying to become the first black skater ever to win the U.S. championship. Whoever wins the free skating phase today will win it all, and we'll be seeing it live on Wide World of Sports immediately following the bowling on most of these ABC stations, along with the ice dancing competition. Now back to Chris.
Okay, Jim McKay in that tuxedo. Very dapper. And Gary Skidmore of New Mexico leads the money list thus far this year. Good pace, Bo.
Skidmore doing well. Wayne Webb, steady. Holman, Dennis Jakes, Mark Roth as usual. And our tournament leader today, David Ozio, can win another $27,000 and have a leg up on that $1 million. As there's Mike Hart, who is the director of market planning and sports marketing for the Miller Brewing Company. Courtesy of him, they got a chance for $1 million, a minimum of $27,000 first, Chris.
And the first of 3 Miller telecasts where an individual bowler, if he wins on 3, all 3 starting with today, then Milwaukee, and then North Olmsted, $1 million. Darryl Bower leaving the 4-pin.
Darryl Bower, who has a excellent amateur record. He won and represented the United States in the foreign tournaments 2 years ago and did quite well. And he's also finished 3rd in what we call the ABC Masters Tournament, the American Bowling Congress Tournament.
Very methodical, cool. A very, very close 3rd game. Pivotal semifinal game. The winner to meet the tournament leader, David Ozio, for the title.
That's the first ball that Darryl Bower really took charge with since the first 2 frames. It seems like these players started off really going at it the first 2 frames. Bower opened in the 3rd. Baker opened in the 7th. Baker trails by 8 pins. 3 frames left. Somebody has to get aggressive and take the lead.
Finished 3rd on the West Coast, and here on the East Coast, an important afternoon for this young man. 2, 4, 10.
There it is again. We have seen the right-hand lane. It happened last week. What we call, the players call it, the oil is carrying down, or the conditioner's carrying down. As a player rolls the bowling ball, the conditioner from the front part of the lane where you release the ball carries down in the braking area. The ball will not finish properly. We start seeing these 2-10 combinations. This is possible for Baker to make.
An open frame. So much at stake. Victor today would requalifying for the Firestone.
Good try. Now here's how our projection. We talked about it in the Ask Bo. Baker, with all strikes, could finish 196. Bower is going at a 195 pace. That would be spare strike. Still could be a close match.
And of course, a victory here would get him 27, and a victory here would give him one leg on the Light Slam, worth $1 million if you can win all three.
Contrasting styles. Bower is an arm bowler, Baker a leg bowler. Bower has the potential to take a 29-pin lead with a strike here in the 9th.
Oh, he averted the split, leaving only the 7th pin. Mom and Dad are tense, and rightfully so, just as the parents of John Odrobinick a week ago.
Lane 14, that's the key lane. Only one strike in this whole match on 14. That was by Bower in the 2nd. Or in the, what was it?
And in his 2 victories.
Bower had a strike in that lane, Chris, in the 1st frame. And that's the only strike on that lane the whole match.
Whereas Mark Baker had 10 in his 2 victories coming into this semifinal game.
Look at the scoreboard. If Bower goes strike, spare 9, or strike, spare, strike, he would have 195. Baker a potential 196, all in the 10th frame.
The 30-year-old from Middleton, Pennsylvania, in the Harrisburg area.
Darryl Bower, who has never lost a match in a championship round, needs a strike and 2 pins to go on and bowl David Ozio for the title. If he does not strike on this ball, Mark Baker can win.
Dancing off the deck for Darryl Bower. Comes from a bowling family. His brother's in the Harrisburg Hall of Fame.
Tremendous power, tremendous pin action in a critical situation. Darryl Bower with that contorted arm swing, but Chris's steady head. Look at how steady he has that head and eyes at the point of release. He wins the match.
And last week, in his only tournament bowl this year, he finished 35th in the Quaker State Open. Darryl Bower, David Ozio, 205 for Bower in this game. Ozio is next for Bower. Although he has been a winner in the past, a relatively unknown name, Darryl Bower of Middleton, Pennsylvania, has ousted Mark Baker, 8 strikes, 7 of them on lane 13, 205 to 176. And now the tournament leader, David Ozio, steps in to decide which of the 2 will win $27,000. United States Open, and we again salute the Bowling Proprietors Association of America, the first of the Triple Crown.
Marshall Holman, the defending champion, the first of bowling's Triple Crown. As you said, Chris, the second tournament would be the PBA National at Darryl Ducat's lanes in Toledo, Imperial Lanes, and finally the Firestone at Riviera in the end of April, the final one of our 16-week tour. And now 2 men have a chance still to win the $1 million. It's either Darryl Bower or David Ozio. Final match.
Left power in that bowling ball. Strike on lane 13, his 8th in 1 match and 1 frame.
Darryl Bower just loosey-goosey, I have to say, just has that rubber arm release, relaxed. I guess you would. You see that graphic, 11 wins, no losses in championship round. He's tough, but he's going against a tremendous, tremendous, educated, well-practiced young player, David Ozio.
Now leaving the 2 sleeper 8, the 31-year-old from Vidor, Texas, the Beaumont, Texas area.
Ozio, who used to have a lot of trouble with his arm swing, has corrected that, has worked on his game a lot, keeps that arm tucked in right behind, keeps his hand behind the ball, doesn't have the tremendous crank power that some of these players have out here in the tour, but he has power under control. The 2-8 double wood spare to stay even in the match.
Well done. A man who started out the week with a virus, hung in there and thought he'd probably go bass fishing, another of his favorite pastimes. But here he is in the final.
No trouble with the 2-8 as he hits both pins with the ball. The key is going to be the right-hand lane. Ozio, who loves that outside line. I think he is probably the best player in professional bowling today, or in all bowling, from the outside line. Tournament leader, second frame.
Lane 13, a 10-pin, as Lisa Ozio, David's wife, gets his 10ths as he does.
David Ozio from Vidor, Texas. That's near the Louisiana border, 20 miles from the Gulf of Mexico. Beautiful country.
Really is. We did some boxing there last fall. First visit, we enjoyed it.
Good solid 2 frames for David Ozio. And you know what I liked about his style, Chris? He wasn't trying to overpower the lane, try to attack too quickly in this match. There's 10 frames to every match. Ozio was under control. Let's see what Darryl Bower can do. He had a great break, tripped out the 6-pin the first frame, can throw a double here to take an 11-pin lead.
And a 9 on the right lane. Look of surprise on his face.
I don't blame him. The solid 9. You know, Chris, I was just projecting. You have to win all 3 tournaments to win the $1 million. Darryl Bower doesn't even bowl in all the tournaments. Huh?
Maybe here, he'd be a fool not to come back to Milwaukee, right?
Think he might change his mind?
I bet he would. Darryl's parents right here along with you as we're live from Don Carter's Kendall Lanes. Great support from families when their offsprings get into the finals. They fly in from all sorts of places to cheer them on. Crossing over and okay. That's a Frank Esposito strike.
I agree. The old, we used to call us a Jersey squasher, but it's a trip 6. The 3-pin goes to sideboard. Bower, even though he's leading in this match, Chris, is in trouble. He has lost the left-hand lane. He was wild in the first frame, got a good break. He was off in the second, wild again the third. He still has 2 strikes to show for it. Watch out for David Ozio. A winner on and off the lanes, very tough.
Another 10-pin.
David Ozio, with this type of style from the #1 position, will not beat himself. I like the way he's rolling the ball, trying to keep it in play, keep it that extreme outside line. Eventually, you'll get a string of strikes. Ozio, fingertip grip, a polyester bowling ball to cut down the hook for the spare.
Just gets it. The man that bowled in 167 tournaments before he got his first win. And could he win today, he would have won in 3 of his last 27 tournaments, or an average of 1 out of every 9.
As you look at David Ozio working on his swing, and when we have the back shot from the camera, you may see a white piece of tape on his back. There it is. I don't think he knows it's on there. It's tape out of his thumb hole. He must have stuck it against the back of the chair. And it's on his back.
Lisa liked it.
All fair, Chris.
Doesn't matter how you did it, as long as you got it right.
A great break for David Ozio as he trips the 6-10 out with the 3-pin. Ozio trails by, leads by 2 pins.
Cheering for their husband, and we're going to pause for this important message.
On the Professional Bowlers Tour, it's the first jewel of bowling's Triple Crown, the $200,000 U.S. Open, next Saturday on ABC Sports.
Star of stage, screen, radio, television. Johnny Johnson, who one time hosted the television series Make That Spare here in Florida, has just written a book, and I can't wait to read that one. He's had a colorful, exciting life.
A man of many, many hats. And Chris, you being our boxing expert with ABC, remember that he even went a couple rounds with Sugar Ray Robinson back in his heyday.
And played pool against Willie Moscone, you name it. And here's that bowling proprietor family man named Bower from Middleton, Pennsylvania, that's really showing. Well, he spent a lot of hours in a bowling establishment, Bo.
From pool to Mr. Cool. Very little emotion, Chris, bowling for $27,000, a crack at the $1 million, has 12-pin lead, can extend to 22. Let's see what he does.
2-4-5 on 13.
Lost on 13. Crossed over in the first frame, got a good break. Crossed over again in the third frame, got a good break. Sends it wide, makes the adjustment. As Lisa Ozio looks on, made the adjustment Bower did in the fifth, didn't quite come up. Needs to convert this spare to stay in the lead.
Disaster. Chopping the 2 and 4 off the 5.
We often talk about the reciprocity in the sport of bowling. A lucky break in the first, a lucky break in the third, and a bad break in the fifth has evened this match up. Ozio leads by 3 now. With his double here, he can take the lead by 13.
Leaving the 4. Ozio, Vidor, Texas.
David wants this one. Disappointed. Meticulous with his pre-shot movements. Converts the spare. He'll lead by 3 pins.
And remember, this is a championship match. 27,000 to the man that wins, 14,000 to the runner-up. 3 pins, the halfway point.
Good luck charm, pulling the ear, huh? By the way, Lisa during the last commercial break got up and took the piece of tape off her husband's back. Gotta take care of those boys.
Oh, and that was a powerful, powerful strike on 13. Well, so keep pulling it.
By far his best shot of the match. David Ozio, 6th frame, cool, throws the ball solid in the pocket. Darryl Bower trails by 3.
Look at that masterful control. He has it throughout his life. His fiancée is Irene Lipinski, and they're waiting a year and a half to be married. Knows his plans and follows the format, right?
You got it. Quite a paycheck to take home here, or at least start even a marriage with. 27,000. Can retake the lead with a strike.
10 pin.
He really can't be held reprehensible for that one, Chris. He made the right move, moved a little farther out to get some angle on the pocket, adjust for the 2-4-5, has left the 10 pin conversion here. Will still trail by 3 pins. A lot of game left, though.
A textbook covering of the 10-pin cross lane for Darryl Bower. Next on ABC, United States Figure Skating Championships. Live ladies singles coverage. You'll also see the beautiful and graceful ice dance competition. This is a tournament leader. Leading by 3 with a strike up, can go up 13. A 4.
David Ozio under control. In the 3rd frame, he left what we call the soft 10. The 5th frame up here on the right-hand lane left a 4-pin. The 7th frame, the 4-pin a game. Match game again in the 7th match game competition. The balance is still less than 10 pin. Ozio with the coverage will lead by 3 with 3 frames left.
And if you just joined us, we have Mark Baker defeating Williams 205 to 170, then Monacelli 257 to 227, and then Bower, Ozio's opponent, ousted Baker 205 to 176. All that time waiting to bowl was this man, tournament leader. Spare up the 7th, now the 8th frame. Incredible how they maintain control.
David Ozio, who has had a number of balls in the channel this week. Anything can happen. We've already seen 1 ball in the channel today by Mark Baker. Right now, Bower trails by 3, 8th frame.
Tit for tat. They're answering each other from the beginning. 3 pins.
30-year-old Darryl Bower, part-time player out here, has been the national resident champion twice. He won a PBA event last year in Indianapolis, but this is his biggest shot of his career. He can take the lead. 9th frame.
Hurting the 7-10. So he'll be shooting the 7 on the left lane. A moment ago you saw him shoot the 10 pin on the left lane, and it was picture perfect.
3 pins has been the difference in this match for the last 5 frames.
The nonchalance of, well, just like it's another league game. But it's a little different here today, and both are accepting the pressure, a lot of it.
This is the big, big shot. Here's where 9 years of experience will come in for Ozio. Watch how he throws this ball. This is the big one for the money.
Take a deep breath. He's left with the 7. He can't believe it.
Both players, 9th frame, could have taken a commanding type lead. They both left the same type of shot. Look at the replay. Larry Cam runs for us to 5, goes over, doesn't quite hit the 7. It's down to the 10th frame, 27,000 first, and a potential $1 million bonus at the end of the light rainbow.
Very careful on that shot. So there you see the story. Both have spares in the 9th frame. Needs 2 strikes plus 8 pins to shut out his opponent, who happens to be Darryl Bower.
I've seen David Ozio in this situation. Tremendous clutch bowler. A lot of heart in this man. Bower, I've never seen him test the waters yet. 10th frame, the match still up in the air.
There's one of the 2 that he needs, plus 8. Seems really pumped up now, Nelson.
Just beautiful. Just beautiful. What that shot does is really forces Darryl Bower to throw a double no matter what. Ozio, all he needs is 8 pins and 2 balls to force Bower to double in the 10th and 11th. Another strike and 8 pins. Ozio would be the champ.
Color coordinated on the approach, and those 2 strikes, this reaction.
You talk about training, you talk about practice. 3 years ago on that particular shot, David Ozio would have pulled the ball up in the nose. He has disciplined his swing, disciplined his game. He's on the threshold of a potential $1 million if he can get 8 pins on this ball.
That's it is right. Lisa, Vidor, Texas, in the Beaumont, Texas area. And David Ozio, 9 years a pro, 3rd championship. And it's always heartbreaking to see somebody as a runner-up, and especially Darryl Bower, the man from Middleton, Pennsylvania, on the 2nd tournament of the year. And we're going to be back to talk to them here at the Don Carter Kendall Lanes when we return after this message.
The Professional Bowlers Tour. This ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by Light Beer from Miller. Everything you've always wanted in a beer and less. By Barbasol Shaving Cream. A great shave at a great price. And by True Value Hardware Stores. Because we've got what it takes.
Tiffany Chin defends her national title live. Plus Ice Dance Beauty, the U.S. Figure Skating Championships on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Next.
Okay, you want to see a happy threesome, ladies and gentlemen? Heather, Lisa, and David Ozio. David, capture the feeling, the 3 of you. I know as the pop and husband, you can do it.
I just feel it's a miracle from God that I'm here after almost having to withdraw this week after 3 games, and this goes to show you what can happen in life if you really want it.
Lisa, you reacted beautifully in the crowd. What's this earlobe pulling deal?
So I have to say hi to my family and friends back home in New York. Say hi.
Heather, you want to say hi to everybody?
Oh.
Say hi, Grandma.
Later. Hi, Grandma, for Heather. Mike Hart, Director of Market Planning for the Miller Brewing Company, has a trophy and a check for $27,000. Mike, more important is the first leg of the Light Slam, which for him could be $1 million.
Dave, we want to congratulate you and give you a check for $27,000 for winning the Lite Beer Classic, and we look forward to seeing you in Milwaukee in 3 weeks for the second leg of the $1 million Light Slam.
And of course, that'll be followed by another Miller-sponsored tournament in North Olmsted, Ohio. I don't need to ask you your plans.
I'll be there. You bet on it.
And we talked, being a bass fisherman myself, Nelson and I had indicated that you and Steve Wunderlich thought about going to Lake Okeechobee today and bass fish.
He's probably on the lake right now, got about 4 or 5 pound, 10-pounders in a boat and laughing at me, but that's all right. That's all right.
Something about your opponent, Darryl Bower. Isn't he a tremendous competitor for not being out here much?
Darryl's very scary. He's got a tremendously loose arm swing, and that worries me a lot. That's what I've worked on, you know, the last 2 years, and anytime he throws a ball, it's you can bet it's going to be close to the 1-3 pocket, and all during the qualifying, he did that tremendously well, so he's a great competitor.
Let's go back, take a look at our monitor off here to the left, and have a replay of Living Dangerously.
That's my favorite shot in bowling. I kind of grew up a lot there and just learned to trust it. They say trust is a must playing on the outside few boards, and just the key is being fearless and don't worry about if it falls in.
Look what happens to your wife, though, when you get that close.
Oh, that's good.
Do you have a bowling hero?
Marshall Holman's always been my hero. I've sat and watched him for countless hours. He's the smoothest game in bowling. Just power personified, and he's just a tremendous athlete and a great competitor, and I look up to him very much.
What do you think of the Miami area?
Love it. Fishing and all.
When it's 80 outside, you gotta love it. So we'll see you at the U.S. Open, no doubt, in Venice, Florida.
I sure will. I'll be there.
Mike, thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Heather. Hello, Grandma Heather, right? Okay. Goodbye, everybody. So, this Professional Bowlers Tour was produced by Ken Wolf, directed by Larry Camp, technical director Bob Bernthal, associate director Jeff Cohan. Now this is Chris Schenkel along with Nelson Burton Jr. saying so long from Miami, Florida. Coming up next on ABC's Wide World of Sports, Tiffany Chin defends her ladies' title live.